Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're diving headfirst into a really interesting and frankly often heated topic.
hmm
That tricky spot where our First Amendment rights meet public access and uh, government transparency.
Yeah, it gets complicated fast.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Specifically, we're exploring the right to record public employees, in buildings that house government offices.
It's a crucial area, definitely, especially for accountability.
It really is.
And for this deep dive, our source material is, well, it's a pretty compelling YouTube video.
Okay.
It's titled, "If You Don't Leave, We Are Going to Arrest You." Oakland First Amendment. Comes from the channel Bay Area Transparency.
Ah, okay. I think I've heard of them.
Yeah, they capture these real-world encounters. This one's in Oakland, California. And it gives you this raw look at these issues playing out, high tension.
Right. So our mission today is to unpack that conflict, the one that happened when this individual tried to conduct, what did he call it, a public employee conduct check
That's the phrase he used, yeah.
by recording in a building shared by different government agencies. We want to explore what this tells us about, public rights versus what some people see as private property.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so the scene. Picture this large building in Oakland, California. It's right across from the Coliseum.
Big landmark there.
Yeah. And it's not just any office building. It's a hub for multiple government offices.
Hmm.
You've got the EDD,
Employment Development Department.
right, a DMV safety office, the DA's investigation unit, covered California. Even the TSA is in there.
So a lot of public-facing services under one roof.
Definitely a place where the public needs to conduct business.
Hmm.
And the individual, he arrived with a very specific purpose in mind.
Precisely. His stated goal, like you said, was this public employee conduct check. He basically wanted to see if employees knew and respected our rights.
So observing public servants in action, essentially.
Yeah, how they interact with citizens, how they handle transparency, that sort of thing.
But almost right away, the core conflict pops up. Is this building private property, or is it actually public space?
And that question isn't just like a minor detail, it's fundamental. It dictates everything that follows.
Totally.
That's right, because throughout the video, you hear employees, security guards, repeatedly saying it's a private building.
Right. No filming, no photography signs.
Exactly. They point to signs, tell him he has to leave. Their whole premise is private owner, private rules apply everywhere inside,
But the individual, he comes back with a counter-argument. Pretty strong one, too.
based on actual law. Yeah.
Rooted in the California Public Information Act and lease agreements.
Mm-hmm.
He argues that, look, when public agencies lease space in a private building, those areas, they effectively become public spaces during business hours, for official business anyway.
He put it pretty plainly, didn't he? Something like.
Yeah, he said, it can be a private building all day, but if we have public agencies here, it really kind of opens it up to be here.
Which makes sense. Otherwise, government could just hide inside private buildings to avoid oversight.
Right. Exactly. It would totally undermine accountability.
So public access kind of follows the public money, the public agency. Transparency shouldn't stop at the landlord's door.
So this whole public versus private argument, it immediately spills over into challenges about his right to record.
Instantly.
You see these moments where staff or security confront him
Mm-hmm.
in the hallways, near office doors.
Yeah, and they raise concerns about personal issues or filming ladies, things like that.
Trying to find reasons why he shouldn't be filming there.
But his legal stance on recording was, well, it was firm, consistent.
What did he say?
He kept coming back to, you don't have an expectation of privacy when you're in public. That core idea.
Right.
And he even pointed out the irony, the building's own security cameras are protected by the same laws his camera is.
Ah, that's a good point. He actually said, this is our rights buddy First Amendment Constitution. Pretty direct.
Very direct, no mincing words there.
Can you just quickly clarify that for us? The whole no expectation of privacy in public thing. What does that really mean here?
Sure, it's a key legal principle, really fundamental. Basically, when you're in a place considered public, could be a park, a street, or like here, the publicly accessible areas of a government building.
Okay.
You generally can't reasonably expect that what you do or how you look won't be seen, or yes, recorded by others. You're out in the open.
Unlike being in your own home, say.
Exactly. It's why we can photograph things on public streets, and it's absolutely fundamental to the right to record public officials doing their jobs in public spaces.
Got it. Okay. So, as you might guess, this whole situation It ramps up pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Staff aren't just asking him to stop filming anymore. They're demanding it,
Yeah.
threatening arrest for trespassing.
It shows how fast these things can spiral, doesn't it? From just asserting a right to facing potential arrest.
Absolutely. And the friction wasn't only about the camera, was it?
No, it wasn't. He then tried to file a public records request, and that opened up a whole other front of resistance.
Right. So filming disputes heating up. He shifts gears, tries using another transparency tool, the public records request. Under the California Public Information Act.
A standard procedure, theoretically.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
But if he thought the recording met resistance, wow. The pushback here was just as striking, maybe more so.
It really was. The challenges were pretty significant. First, employees wouldn't even take the request verbally.
Seriously.
Yeah, they demanded a specific form number. You know how that goes.
Oh, the bureaucratic runaround.
Then some claimed his list of requests was just too many things, said it was like 20 items, then maybe 30 or 40.
Trying to shut it down based on volume.
Seems like it, but he stood his ground, told them straight up,
Yeah.
You guys have an obligation to take the records request. It's a law, so do your job.
Good for him. It really shows the kind of friction citizens can face just trying to use these basic tools.
Definitely.
And the situation just kept escalating. More hostility from the staff.
Mm-hmm.
He gets told he's causing trouble, accused of stalking the manager.
Stalking, wow.
Yeah. And repeated threats of arrest or calling the police. It really paints a picture of staff feeling challenged and just digging in their heels.
That's right. And eventually, they did make the call. They called the California Highway Patrol, the CHP.
To remove him.
Yeah, alleging he was causing trouble and, crucially, refused to leave. This brings in law enforcement, which could go either way, right? De-escalation
Or further escalation. Depends entirely on how the officers handle it.
Exactly.
And sure enough, the CHP arrive, several officers. We get names and badge numbers in the video. Officer Zaid, Officer Velasquez, Officer Madabi.
And this really is a significant turning point.
How so?
Well, Officer Zaid, who seemed to be the senior officer there, handled it very differently.
Wow.
He actually talks to the individual and confirms, basically, as long as you're here for business and you're staying in the publicly accessible area, you're obviously good to record.
Wow. So validating the individual's position.
Completely. And then he advises the building staff accordingly, tells them the guy has the right to be there and record in those areas.
That's huge. That's de-escalation right there, based on knowing the law.
Exactly. It's a kind of informed intervention that, frankly, can make or break these situations. It stops the cycle of threats and resistance.
Okay, so with the CHP clarifying the recording issue, what about that public records request? Did that move forward?
It did, and the list of things he was asking for was pretty extensive. Shows he came prepared.
So what was on the list?
All sorts. He wanted specific employee details, names, salaries, even the last 2 paycheck stubs for certain people, like a Mr. Singh, an Inspector Chu, and someone identified as a lie.
Paycheck stubs. Is that public record?
Salary information for public employees generally is yes. Paycheck stubs themselves might have redactions, but the core salary data is usually accessible. He also asked for state-provided emails and state-issued cell phone bills.
For a specific time.
Yeah, specifically June 2025, though that date seems far in the future. Maybe it was a typo in the source or it meant a past June. Anyway, a specific period.
Okay, what else?
He wanted any memos or training materials they had about dealing with people exercising constitutional rights in public spaces.
Trying to see if they've actually been trained on this.
Exactly. And any photos or videos the EDD staff or security took of him during his visit, turning the tables a bit.
Interesting.
Anything else?
Yeah, info on the security guards working there, emails involving that U3 lie person over a 4-year span.
4 years, wow.
And emails about his visit sent between any EDD staff in that building, plus generally publicly available records from personnel files.
So he's casting a wide net, but focusing on transparency related to his interaction and the staff involved.
Precisely. And about the personnel files, it's important to note he wasn't asking for everything. Personnel records are usually confidential, right? But he specifically asked for the publicly available records within those files. It shows he understands the nuances of the Public Information Act. He knows what parts he's likely entitled to.
That's a sophisticated approach, not just a blanket demand.
No, quite specific.
Now, moving beyond just the legal back and forth, the individual offered some personal commentary.
He did. He talked about the behavior he encountered.
Yeah, attributed to what he called tyrant individuals with limited emotional stability and emotional intelligence. Pretty harsh words.
Reflects his frustration. Clearly, he felt some officials were overstepping.
And you connect that to the bigger picture of public service, right?
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to that core idea he voiced. You're the servant. You work for the public and we pay you well to do it.
A reminder of who works for whom.
It's fundamental. Public employees serve the public, and accountability is part of that deal.
He also seemed to feel his activism, and maybe others like him, has actually had an impact.
Yes, he suggested it's educated law enforcement in Northern California about these rights over time.
What was the quote? Something about,
He said, before we started doing this, in all honesty, 5-6 years ago, you guys probably would have been handcuffing me and pulling me out of the building, right? But now you guys know, everybody knows these are regular people.
that's a powerful claim, suggesting real change on the ground because of citizen action.
And it ties into what we saw with the CHP officer, doesn't it?
How so?
The professionalism and knowledge, especially from Officer Zaid, he seemed to understand the rights involved. There is another quote attributed to a senior officer, maybe him, maybe another context, but it was impactful.
What was that?
If we're going to put on this badge and this gun and this uniform, then we should know what the rights are.
Wow, that perspective, coming from law enforcement itself, that's critical.
It really is. It shows a recognition of their role in upholding rights, not just, enforcing building rules that might conflict with those rights.
Did the individual share anything about why he's so committed to this, his personal motivation?
He did, briefly, touched on a pretty intense past incident, mentioned something about a DUI checkpoint in Napa. He refused to give his driver's license, recorded it, posted the video.
Okay.
And apparently his home was then raided by about 30 officers. He said he was handcuffed for 4 hours.
30 officers.
Yeah.
For refusing an ID at a checkpoint? That sounds extreme.
It does. He described it as traumatic, said it made him pause his activities for a while, but then he came back wanting to create change.
That kind of experience would certainly fuel a passion for holding authorities accountable. It makes it very personal.
Absolutely. It moves it beyond abstract principles into lived experience. You wonder if understanding that personal stake might change how some officials react in these encounters.
That's a really good point. Maybe more empathy, less immediate confrontation.
Perhaps. Knowing someone's acting from deep conviction, maybe even trauma, could reframe things.
One last detail you mentioned about filming others.
Oh, right. It's worth noting, he mentioned having a policy. He tries to avoid recording children and keeps other members of the public out of the shot if possible.
Out of respect, basically.
Yeah. Even though, legally, in a public space, he might not have to, he chooses to. Shows a level of ethical consideration alongside the rights assertion.
That's an interesting layer. Often gets lost in the heat of these things.
For sure.
So let's try to wrap this up. What are the big takeaways for you listening to this deep dive?
Well, for me, this whole encounter in Oakland really hammers home a few key things.
Okay.
First, that crucial difference between genuinely private property and publicly accessible government spaces, even within a privately owned building. That distinction matters.
Yeah, public access follows the public agency.
Exactly. Second, just the sheer importance of citizens actually knowing their rights, like the right to record in public and being willing to, assert them calmly but firmly.
And third?
Maybe the most encouraging part, seeing evidence that law enforcement is evolving, becoming more educated on these rights, like that CHP officer's actions. That's a win for transparency.
It definitely is. It reinforces that idea of transparency being a two-way street, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Officials have duties, citizens have rights. Finding that balance, making sure everyone understands the rules of engagement, that's key to avoiding needless conflict.
Right. It's about applying the knowledge in the real world.
Upholding those shared principles.
Okay, so as we close out this deep dive, here's something for you to think about.
Yeah.
If the simple act of recording in a public building, a place where you have a right to be, can spark such intense conflict, I mean, to the point where police intervention is needed just to clarify basic constitutional rights. What does that tell us about where we really are on the journey towards true understanding and, frankly, respect for those rights in just everyday interactions between us, the citizens, and the public servants?
That's a heavy question. Lots to chew on there.
Something to ponder until our next deep dive.